Welcome back. My name is Lauren Heistad, author to the book Homecoming, and I am taking this sacred opportunity to tell my own story in my own words, at my own pace, and as the author to my own life path. All right. I think we're at chapter 40. Let me find it here. Sometimes I go straight to the chapter and already have it ready. This one I didn't want to get ready for fact. Okay, here we go. The Abomination. Okay, where was I? Oh yes, I was at the college, nestled in my bed, anticipating another 2 weeks of training, and silently scoffing at the absurd suggestion from my guides that I would be returning home the next day. I also laughed at the ludicrous idea of writing my next book. Something's arrived. I laughed at the ludicrous idea of writing my next book anytime soon. And at this point in the story, that's still talking about writing my second book, Evolving Your SOULworks. The one we're discussing right now. Okay, there would seriously have to be a whole lot of changes before I would ever consider outing myself to the world and publicly documenting or speaking my accounts. Now, with that mindset firmly in place, I peacefully drifted off to sleep. Now, in the middle of the night, and within my lucid dream state of collective consciousness, a distress call came through. Now, it had been quite a long time since I had so clearly heard a cry for help while in the midst of a deep slumber. But there it was. There it was, going off like a sonic radar. And to my heart's sorrow, it was a dear friend and loved one. Sarah, who called out for help that night. While sleeping, yet clearly connected to the etheric plane, I heard Sarah call my name. She followed the initial cry for help by saying she was very scared. Why? I questioned. What's made you so upset? And within my dreamlike state, Sarah confided she had just taken a bottle of pills, and sadly was not even sure what had compelled her to take such action against her own life. I calmly assured her everything will be okay, but told her she also needed to get up and get help. Get up, get help. I kept repeating over and over again. She didn't want to. She didn't, but eventually I saw her seek the help of a loved one who provided the assistance needed. I stood there watching for a while from above their heads. It was like an out-of-body experience, but from a greater distance. I was surveying the situation and making sure everything was okay. As I remotely viewed the evening play out, I watched the emergency teams arrive and medical attention being applied. I did. And I remember how clearly I could see the events unfolding. I also remember being completely fascinated by this huge calming bluebird standing beside Sarah that night. It was as tall as a person and seemed to be helping to bring calm to the storm. I told Sarah that the angels and paramedics would take care of her. I also instructed her not to worry about what might have happened, but instead to focus on what could be and where her life could expand from here. Energetically, I gave her a friendship bracelet that she had gifted to me. And told her to hold on to it for strength until I could return. As I left Sarah in the capable hands of her family, medical team, and this oversized bluebird, I began to turn my attention to my guides. What has happened? What has happened to make this horrible situation unfold? I questioned. In response to my perplexed state of mind, my guide showed me a dark energy that had literally attacked Sarah that night. Attacked her. Impressed upon my mind was that nebulous, dark force I had spoken with earlier, claiming I was standing in their role. My heart ached. It ached as I watched it depart from my path, from overseas, and then refocus its attention on Sarah. I had witnessed this energy before. In fact, this was the 4th time I had watched this darkness in action. I stood there and watched these visions unfold, and I must admit I was heartbroken. How long? How long do we need to do this battle between light and dark? I cried with all my convictions as I set off in my lucid state to clear this energy once and for all. Without any prompting from my guides, I drove that energetic clearing sword straight down into this dark energy's head. And then I let my gaze move further down to get a good look at this obscure force. Shocked and literally sick to my stomach, I realized it wasn't an obscure force at all, but an actual person. God damn it, I yelled that night. When will people learn to pull their soul energy up out of their ass and into their heart? Now, excuse the language, but I was really mad and disappointed. Here I was, on my fourth battle with what I believe to be an ambiguous dark force, and instead of obliterating the darkness completely, I once again had to become centered in my heart and offer compassion. Why? Because that night I realized dark energy is linked to actual people. It is not nameless at all. It is not just a mythical dragon that needs a bigger heart. It's not always our own inner fear rising to the forefront or a larger overall force manipulating our experiences. It is everyday people with thoughts of jealousy, greed, fear, and self-centeredness that are projected out into our world and actually affecting real people and the collective consciousness of the world. When will the bulk of society stop projecting negativity and come from a place of compassion? I questioned the universe as I opened my heart and sent this being of love. Opened my heart and sent this being love and light. They weren't being in love at that moment. I sent their being love and light. Despite what their unconscious thoughts and intentions had just done to my dear Sarah. I changed my sword into a bolt of lightning and worked to bring enlightenment to this dismal side of the ego. Do unto others what you would want done unto you. I kept reminding myself over and over as I once again worked to bring more light and compassion to those who unconsciously bring harm to others. It was at this point I woke up from my deep encounter with the spirit world and checked my phone. It was 5 o'clock in the morning, and I still had a bit more time before I needed to start my day of training at the college. During this awakened state, I began contemplating the weird visions and forces I had just combated. Wow, my dreams are getting obscure, I confessed to myself as I reached out to put my phone down and snuggle back into bed. Then I saw it. A simple text message that was more real and vivid than I can still handle to remember to this day. It said, on our way to the hospital, Sarah has just swallowed a whole bottle of pills. I'll be right back. Evolving your SOULworks. The thing about clear, concise information from Spirit is that you cannot accept only part of the message and insight as being true without realizing the depth of the entire message is also valid and real. Hence, no matter how much I did not want to accept the reasons I so clearly saw linked to that suicide attempt, Even my logical mind understood I could not have witnessed one aspect of that seamless evening without having witnessed both. Truth. Unfortunately, once you have seen the truth about dark energy and its origins, it becomes literally impossible to ignore it again. The entire scope of that evening still burned a hole in my heart and removed all rose-colored glasses I may have been wearing up until that point. The dream walker within me had been stirred awake to our reality, and there was no going back to ignoring the darker side of our existence. No going back. I find it interesting how we as light workers seek to create positive change in the world by openly discussing how our thoughts and intentions co-create our existence. We talk about manifesting the lives we desire. We are open and receptive to the reality of sending love and light to any given person, place, or thing that requires healing and inner peace. We shield ourselves from other energies so that we may feel more comfortable in this vibration. Yet to this day, many people do not talk about the overpowering dark force that does exist in this world. Fact. Personally, I think we're fools to think we can send out such beautiful thoughts that affect our reality and then dismiss or fail to acknowledge what value, thought processes, and intentions we are adding to the world the rest of the time. I could not, nor would I ever blame one single person for the state of this world, as the Bible likes to allude to. That thought process is just as foolish as dismissing what contributions we are typically adding to this collective conscious on a daily basis. What I'm saying is that I have watched, experienced, and grown to understand we are all responsible for the current state of this earth realm. There is definitely much darkness in this world that we are choosing to ignore. This dark force is simply a large projection of our thoughts, fears, intentions, and negative emotions that we flippantly discard into the streets of the collective consciousness like garbage. Sadly, we sometimes consciously direct them to a specific person, place, or thing without realizing the detrimental effect it is having, both on them and the overall vibration of the world. I have also found this darkness is both a force within us, within us that consists of our own insecurities, fears, and humanistic egos. Of course it is. However, this negative energy contains a snowballing effect that collectively adds to a larger, darker force that does exist. These dark thought forms are being broadcast, literally broadcast along the airwaves of the collective conscious, and are seriously affecting the thoughts and actions of society in general. More specifically, I've also witnessed this force attach to or influence those in their weakest moments, caused by existing conditions such as depression, sickness, mental illness, substance abuse, or low self-confidence. It does. I've watched this force worked incredibly well with people whose egos are bigger than imaginable and who naturally come from a lower vibrational state of awareness. I've also watched this dark force put up quite the fight in the last few years as we work to shift the vibration of the world upward once and for all. It is like the old ways of thinking, belief structures, systems, and ways of living are putting up a fight within us in that and this world as a whole to remain status quo. I could feel this dark force, as can you, I'm sure. I can hear this dark force, and unfortunately, I can see it running havoc in people's lives. Now, a few things about the collective dark force. I'm not saying you do not have to take responsibility for your own state of mind and instead play the victim role and blame the collective. Blaming the collective or other people without owning up to how you contribute keeps you in a state of duality. Instead, start to become very aware of where your dark thoughts come from and how you are adding to them. Is it your own internalized anguish causing personal circumstances and unresolved heartache? Is it? Or did your mood and thought processes change in an instant with thoughts of suicide or hurting people or bringing harm to anyone or anything completely out of your own usual way of thinking? Believe me, I have heard these thoughts directed towards me, and they do exist. It is like being in a trance-like state and hearing you should do something to bring harm to yourself. Even if those thoughts have never come up before. You are completely happy in your world, and you have never considered such self-destructive actions. Becoming very aware of all your thoughts is important. Be sure to understand which ones belong to you. Secondly, I do not want to add more fear. I don't, to an already dark situation. So I want you to always remember light trumps all things. Light does. Which translates into love. Remember? Owning the fact that we all contribute to the current state of our existence, but working to consciously change what we are contributing moves us into unity. The more we come from the heart and create a state of awareness that's more... lost my place. The more we come from the heart and create from a state of awareness, the more balance is restored. My guidance has always been that you can't push or battle the dark away. You can only let your light become stronger than the current state of darkness and rise above it. Therefore, I'm not preparing you or the world for battle. I'm preparing you to always choose love. Always choose to treat people the way you want to be treated. Always stand in your full divine self so that others can't influence you in negative ways. Utilize your light to help protect those who are not aware enough to protect themselves. But if we keep fighting this battle, we continue the perpetual cycle of duality. We need to keep choosing light. We do. As long as evil thoughts and intentions exist in our world, it is out of balance, no matter who teaches you otherwise. There are people in this world currently teaching that there's no right or way to act, right or wrong way to act and behave. And I call bullshit. There is most certainly a more loving way to treat and respect all people. Love creates balance. The most fundamental ingredient for living in a higher vibration is love. Love transcends the ego. Any other teachings are keeping you stuck in the old patterns and ways of being. Fact. Thirdly, do not become afraid. Don't become afraid of expressing your emotions or pretend to be happy. Just keep it real and let yourself feel and convey the emotions. However, please do remember to monitor your emotions and use them for your own growth and development. I consider a negative emotion to be your own soul, bringing awareness to an area that still needs to heal and grow. Always be sure to be consciously aware of what thoughts you are projecting out into the world and why. If you find you have been upset by something, don't try to hide or ignore your reaction. Instead, notice your reaction. Notice it. Acknowledge where and why it has come in. Speak up if needed. Then let the emotion dissipate, thereby removing the charge behind the thought projection. It's kind of like recycling your emotions into something more positive and useful, while being more mindful of what you are projecting out and discarding into the world. Look, we're all connected energetically. As your consciousness expands, you can easily learn to tune into and access any individual experience, to feel the raw emotion and energy that radiates from each unique encounter. This includes all vibrations and intentions reverberating throughout time, whether they are directed in love or otherwise. Unfortunately, most of the time, people move through their daily lives without realizing what frequency they are continuously adding to the world, directing towards each other, or just energetically adding to the cosmos in general. It's time to acknowledge we are each contributing a unique and individual part to the whole. We must take personal responsibility for helping to co-create the current state of our world, and realize we are interdependent of each other. The good news is that we can work together. We can work together to create a more peaceful and abundant experience for all of humanity. We can each start living in a more unified and loving manner, as opposed to the duality we've become accustomed to. The choice is yours. Godspeed. your move. Review your darkest thoughts. Start taking inventory of the low points in your life. What was playing through your mind? Who were you around? What was affecting your life at that moment? Start noticing a person's inner reactions to you, despite their outer reactions. As we open up to become more spiritual, we also become more open to all things. This is a good thing. It is. Although at first it does cause some confusion. And for those rose-colored glasses to come off, for sure. Monitor. Monitor what emotions are yours and begin to understand the workings of your own soul at a deeper level. So you can tell when thoughts or ideas are your own or if they are being externally directed towards you. If you do not believe that others' emotions or thoughts are affecting you, try this on for size. Observe the emotional state, opinions, and ideas of yourself, plus one person in your life this entire week. Notice any time you change in demeanor and observe whether the other person in this experiment also changed as well. Who changed first? Send love and compassion to those who send hate vibes or project their own thoughts and opinions your way, whether it is done consciously or unconsciously. Send love and compassion to yourself for allowing your energy to be affected so deeply by others. Hold the intention to fill your auric field with your own essence, so as not to leave room for the dark projections of others. Also understand that it is okay to step away from a negative situation being projected your way. Step away. Just be cautious not to play the victim role, or worse yet, dish the same hate vibrations in return. Don't do it. This thought process only continues that perpetual cycle of conflict. Secondly, assess your own contributions. It's got to be done. Think back over the past weeks, months, and even years to times your ego has directed negative thoughts or emotions towards people, places, or situations. Notice if you internalized the negative emotions, projected them outward onto others, or successfully transmuted them to the light. That's the goal. Don't internalize them, don't project them. Learn how to transmute them. Take responsibility for the energy you dish out. And do your very best to be more consciously aware of their long-lasting effects. A simple exercise to become more aware of your own influences on other people is to practice non-interference from ego. Not to be confused with soulful guidance from spirit, by the way. So we go through your day by allowing a family member or friend to move through their life without once thinking or voicing your own opinion about their actions. Try it. And it can be difficult. But allow them to simply live their own path and find their own way without trying to influence them, change them, or become them. More often than not, when interference subsides, you'll find their actions become clearer, life more joyful, and opinions of themselves more confident when they're not being continuously bombarded by others' opinions. On the flip side, if someone is unaware of the energetic influences being directed towards them, opinions or reactions of others they can definitely cause emotional havoc, insecurity, and confusion, whether expressed in thought, word, or deed. Truth. Okay, become conscious of your emotional reactions. Interestingly enough, I find the more spiritual we become, the larger our emotions also feel. So if something used to create a little emotional reaction, now the same situation may cause an over-the-top huge one. Don't consider this to be a poor indication of your own soul development. Consider that you are just becoming more sensitive to all things. Whatever is still causing huge reactions within you is a growth opportunity for your soul. Start being more aware of all thoughts and emotions by utilizing the opportunity to learn about your reactions and then effectively transmute any overcharged negative emotions into something more positive. In doing so, you bring conscious awareness to your shadow side, which is important, as well as become aware of this aspect in others and its underlying effects on you. In my opinion, it is our social responsibility to be accountable not only for how we treat others, but also what we project out into the world with our inadvertent thoughts and intentions. There are many effective ways to release pent-up emotions, including things like drumming circles, exercising, dancing, singing, cleaning, completing projects, and setting new intentions for the future. Basically, every time you take a moment of reflection to discharge an emotion that is not heart-centered, helps to facilitate an expansion to your soul and the overall vibration of the world. Next, have a heart-to-heart, soul-to-soul. As crazy as it sounds, sometimes I find it much more effective in opening the lines of communication to confront the negative, overly influential, or narrow-minded people in your life via a soul-level conversation rather than a face-to-face personal interaction. It may sound like the easy way out. By not dealing with the individual in front of you instead of the expansiveness of their soul within. But in truth, sometimes it's far easier and much more effective to express your soulful connections in this manner. Now, to do so, just imagine that the person's soul is standing right in front of you and have the conversations you are seeking as compassionately and honestly as possible. In truth, regardless of the current physical realities, on a soul level, we're all created as equals. We are. Acknowledging this aspect changes the tone of your relationship. I find this method acknowledges the greater part of who we all are and starts to bring those aspects of our soul energy forward. Find the strength to send love. Even in the hard times, find the strength to send love. Regardless of the situation or thoughts being projected from you or to you and your loved ones. Find the compassion in your heart to forgive and send love. We are all divine beings at a soul level. But we are also very human while here on earth. Everyone's learning. And we're on a learning curve to energetically rise from our current lower vibrations of dualistic world into higher awareness of unity. When we stay mad and harbor negative thoughts towards someone that we feel has done us wrong, we are only reciprocating that same vibe and sending it right back to them. Hence, keeping the dualistic fight alive and well. We're better than this. We are. We're better than this. More importantly, we all deserve to feel and live in a world that supersedes this old pattern of duality. And my guides threw in a little directive from Corinthians 13, verses 4 to 7. Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Fact. So I'm asking you again, choose love. I'll see you there.